But only one place to start tonight. Tottenham are close to re-signing Gareth Bale from Real Madrid. Cavi, you first reported those developments between Bale's representatives and Tottenham just before 7 o'clock last night. Where are we right now with the deal?
Well, at the moment, 7 years after leaving, Gareth Bale is coming back to Spurs. Everybody we speak to who's involved in this deal is telling us that it's very, very close, and it is all pointing to the fact that he is going to be a Spurs player again. Now, the three reasons why this is happening. The first one is because Gareth Bale wants to play for Spurs again. The second one, Real Madrid, his club, want to sell him. They need to sell him. They need to get his wages off their books. And the third reason is that Spurs want him back. Daniel Levy wants him back. Now, there's been a big mood change as far as Gareth Bale and Real Madrid are concerned. We saw last summer he came very, very close to moving to China. That was blocked at the last minute. But Real Madrid have made it very, very clear they want him out this summer. Gareth Bale, before, has stuck to his guns and said, I've still got 2 years left on my contract. I'm not going anywhere. The past couple of weeks, his position has changed. His representative's position has changed. He wants to play football again, and he's going to get that at Spurs. Now, Spurs' motto is to dare is to do. That means you have to believe in yourself. You have to take a risk. Spurs are taking a risk re-signing Gareth Bale, but it is a calculated risk. It makes sense to them because they're going to get him on loan. They will be paying a portion of his wages. It looks like over a whole season, he's going to end up costing them about £20 million. And in the current economic climate, it is a deal that makes sense for all parties.
OK, Paul Gilmore has been at Tottenham's training ground today, and he can join us now. Paul, Jose Mourinho had his pre-match news conference this lunchtime. What did Mourinho have to say about Bale?
Good evening, Brian. Perhaps not surprisingly, Jose Mourinho playing a straight bat with this one, not wanting to get involved too much alongside Eric Dyer ahead of their Europa League clash. The pair of them spoke to the media before flying to Bulgaria this afternoon. Eric Dyer was asked about if it's been talked about much in the players' WhatsApp group. But first, we'll hear from Jose Mourinho. And as you can hear from this, he's playing his cards pretty close to his chest.
That's not my job to have contacts with agents, so honestly I don't want to comment on that, and again, especially regarding players that are players from other clubs. I don't comment on hypothetical stuff. I tried to sign him for Real Madrid, which was not possible to do during my time there, but the president followed my instinct and followed my knowledge, and the season I left, he brought Gareth to the club. There is no secret on that. I think even Gareth knows that.
Nothing on the WhatsApp group. Obviously there's a lot of speculation, and we're all nowadays it's impossible not to see it, but it's not really for me to speculate on.
Just generally speaking, when a player of that stature, someone who's won 4 Champions Leagues, walks into the dressing room, how much of a lift could that potentially give the entire squad?
I don't know, because I think he's still in the Real Madrid dressing room, so it doesn't really affect me in any way. It's not the first time, and it won't be the last time. There's constantly speculation about different people going different places.
Well, Jonathan Barnett, Bale's representative, told us here on Sky Sports News today that Gareth had spoken to Jose Mourinho and explained how Spurs have, in his words, have a special place in his heart. But Paul, what is the latest in their move to sign one of Bale's teammates, Sergio Reguilon?
Yeah, under normal circumstances, Spurs about to bring in a left-back from Real Madrid would be big headline news. That's gone somewhat under the radar today, given all the developments with Gareth Bale. And Reguilon is a player that is closing in on a move to Tottenham. Those talks are progressing well. From what we're led to believe, we are very close to hearing about a possible deal agreed. Not quite there yet, but it is progressing well. So we're hearing, and one of the parts of this deal is the buyback clause. Of course, it's something Manchester United weren't really interested in. It's something really a club like Manchester United haven't really gone in for in the past. The bigger clubs tend to not do that. In this case, Tottenham are obviously one of those big clubs, one of those top 6 clubs, but it's a deal that, in terms of getting it done, that is insistent upon them from Real Madrid. So yeah, that is close. We'll keep you updated with that. But the Tottenham squad, as I mentioned earlier, they have left for Bulgaria today. I think we can see shots of them leaving for the airport earlier. They are touching down in Bulgaria just about any time now. But there's a real excitement about this place today. We've had a couple of supporters turn up, one of which just a few moments ago before we came on live to talk about how he turned up in a signed Spurs shirt. He says Gareth Bale's the only one that I haven't got in terms of an autograph from that squad 7 years ago. So he's hoping to get that this season, and that's really the excitement from the Spurs supporters, that are hoping to get somebody who made a real impact here, and they're hoping to get him back, and that could well be something that is extremely realistic as Gareth Bale closes in on a return to North London.
Paul Gilmore live at Tottenham's training ground. Thanks so much indeed for us. Tottenham should now have touched down in Bulgaria ahead of that game tomorrow. Dharmesh, the big question that Manchester United fans are going to be asking tonight, have they been beaten by Tottenham on 2 Real Madrid players here?
Good question. Look, the moment Bale gave that interview to our colleague Geraint Hughes saying there was a possibility he could return to the Premier League, the first name that came up, as it always does with Gareth Bale, was Manchester United. And that talk, make no mistake, will have intensified given the current state of flux they find themselves in trying to sign Jadon Sancho from Borussia Dortmund. Look, was there an interest in Gareth Bale? Yes. How far did that interest go? We are told there were no credible negotiations or dialogue between the two parties. That begs the question, why was there no credible dialogue or negotiations between the two parties? A few reasons. Firstly, there was a widely understood belief that Bale wanted to go back to Tottenham Hotspur, number one. That feeling was confirmed by Bale's agent, who said this is where he wants to be. Now, secondly, signing Bale would appear to go against United's rebuilding process and their wage structure as well. Yes, United are looking at alternatives to Jadon Sancho. We've been talking about the likes of Ivan Perisic from Inter Milan. We've been talking about Douglas Costa from Juventus, even Kingsley Coman from Bayern Munich. But they would never command the same amount of wages that Gareth Bale would command. As for Reguilón, were United interested? Yes, they were interested. But we are told that this one never got past the discussion stage. One of the big issues was Real Madrid's insistence that Manchester United put a buyback clause into that deal. And it just seems that Manchester United wouldn't entertain anything like a buyback clause. It's almost like if Manchester United were to sell a player, Manchester United would be the club to do the buyback clause, not the other way around.
I think what we're being told is that Gareth Bale is a name that was discussed at Manchester United, but they didn't make an official offer or a bid for him, but he is a name that was discussed. I mean, why would Ole Gunnar Solskjaer decide not to move for Gareth Bale? Well, you'd have to think about his age, his injury record, the fact that there have to be reasons behind him not being used at Real Madrid and being frozen out, and also his high wages. And Manchester United, of course, have been here before in a similar situation with Alexis Sanchez, when they were paying mega bucks salary, and they don't want to make that mistake again. So I think if you look a bit further down the line, if Manchester United sign Jadon Sancho, then I think they will forget about Gareth Bale. United fans won't be thinking about Gareth Bale. But if they end up this window not signing anyone else apart from Donny van de Beek, and Gareth Bale is starring and performing really well for Spurs, then I think United supporters will be scratching their heads and thinking, what's going on here? What went wrong for us during the window?
Now, I don't think many United fans were actually talking about Gareth Bale when the Jadon Sancho issue was quite live compared to what it is now, which seems quite unlikely. But one other point to make, I was just reflecting on yesterday's events. It was one of the busiest days we've had in this transfer window. Jack Grealish signed his new contract at Aston Villa. Then we had Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang signing his new contract at Arsenal. I just wonder, was it a coincidence that all the positive news that came out of Tottenham Hotspur happened last night? Now, look, I was actually speaking to a former Premier League club's head of communications yesterday, and he said that there is method behind clubs putting out certain bits of information into the public domain. Let's have a look at what happened with Tottenham, okay? Over the weekend, they start the season with a home defeat against Everton. Then that is followed by a lot of the fans asking, why are we not signing a striker? We need another striker. That is all compounded by their biggest and most bitter of rivals, Arsenal, opening their season with a comfortable win at Fulham. And a few days later, they follow that up with all the fanfare that was associated with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang signing his new contract. Look, the day was dominated by Aubameyang, and yet Tottenham, they stole the headlines within 1 or 2 hours of Aubameyang's announcement. Suddenly, the mood around Tottenham changes from one of sadness and misery and anger to, my goodness, we could be signing Gareth Bale once again. I don't know what you guys think of that, but there just seems to be a little bit of method, or am I being mischievous here?
I think there's a bit of mischief there, but I think we've all been around the game long enough to know that there is point scoring between clubs. It does go on, it does happen. I mean, I think in this particular case, the Aubameyang story was nothing new. We knew it was coming, we've been reporting it for some time, but you do have to wonder in terms of how the information came out last night from the Tottenham side. Cavi, you were closer to that than any of us. It's an interesting theory, but we like to chat about these things, don't we?
Interesting conspiracy theory. I think another point that's quite interesting about this is who is the driving force behind this move? Is it Jose Mourinho or is it Daniel Levy? Is Gareth Bale coming back for football reasons or for business reasons? Did Jose Mourinho go to Daniel Levy and say, Gareth Bale is available, Zinedine Zidane has frozen him out, I want him in my team, he will make us better, he will get us into the top 4? Or was it a case of somebody approached Daniel Levy and said, would you be interested in having Gareth back? Because the deal is there on the table, he wants to come back. It'd be interesting to see, although I fear we'll never find out.
I don't think you can underestimate the pull of Tottenham Hotspur for Gareth Bale, though. Once he moved from Southampton, the period of time that he spent at Tottenham Hotspur and how he performed for Tottenham Hotspur, aside of when it all started for him, he was on that horrendous losing streak, wasn't he? But it was called a bit of a bad luck charm for Tottenham Hotspur. He was far from that by the time that he left. And you can't underestimate the love that Tottenham have for Gareth Bale, but also the love that Gareth Bale has for Tottenham Hotspur. So I think that is a massive, massive reason why Gareth Bale will be thinking, yes, Tottenham Hotspur.
You know, he's had the highs, hasn't he, of 4 Champions League titles, 2 La Liga titles. He's had the lows of being frozen out. But ultimately, Real Madrid's hold the key to everything. We've been saying this for the last couple of weeks. It's down to them. What is an attractive proposition to them? And that's where we do get a sense now that there does seem to have been a move in terms of this deal happening more than not. Also, motivation for Gareth Bale. People will ask, why would he go to Tottenham and not a Manchester United? Manchester United can offer him Champions League football. It's Europa League football at Tottenham. But as you mentioned, those highs include winning the Champions League 4 times. He can become a big, big hero once again if he isn't already. Of course, he's a legend at Tottenham. If he can get them back into the Champions League. That can't be underestimated either, I don't think.